Whether you're into comedians roasting each other's life choices or turning yesterday's bad decisions into today's funny stories, Amazon Music's got the most ad-free top podcasts, included with Prime. Download the Amazon Music app and get in on the joke. Or go to amazon.com/ad-free comedy. That's amazon.com/ad-free comedy to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Member Week is here at Lowe's. Don't miss your chance to get up to 40% off hundreds of items like paint, faucets, vanities, doors, and more. Shop our exclusive deals happening in-store and online now through July 18th. Not a member? Join My Lowe's Pro Rewards for free today and get ready to save more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Once again, television has given me a reason to live.
Good news, everyone. It's Talking Futurama, the podcast that caves like a house of souffle cards. I'm one of your hosts, your bossy friend, Bob Mackey, and this is the Talking Simpsons Patreon's chronological exploration of Futurama. Who is here with me today, as always?
Nitpicking nerd, Henry Gilbert.
And who is our special guest on the line?
Good news! It's Chris Wade.
And this month's episode is Lrrreconcilable Ndndifferences.
Horns are a sign of virility. Also, they house my testes.
This week's episode originally aired on August 26, 2010. And as always, Henry will tell us what happened on this mythical day in real-world history.
Welcome to the world of tomorrow!
Good news, Bobby. Katy Perry's album Teenage Dream is released. Takers tops the film box office, and Mad Men and Modern Family win big at the Primetime Emmys.
Teenage Dream is not the Katy Perry song I'm familiar with. Was this one of her... I guess it was I Kissed a Girl maybe a few years before this.
I mean, this Teenage Dream was a blockbuster album. This is a good time to be in the Katy Perry business.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it had not yet become a woman's world, but,
right.
You know, we're still living in the fallout.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to say I'm catching up to the music of the youth from 15 years ago. Teenage Dream was the album and also the song, the hit single. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. It was, and it also had the other hit singles, California Girl and Firework, singular Firework.
Yes.
Yeah. So this was her big hit, but and I think those singles were out first, but this is the album release week of it. So it's probably the hottest time ever to be Katy Perry, though I can't recall now if this is before or after her appearance on The Simpsons in the Treehouse of Horror, where Mo Sislak performs oral sex upon her.
Yeah.
I have not seen that. I am not familiar with that. That sounds
it's Mo in the form of a puppet. Did we mention that yet?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Yes, that's right. That's right. That's not my belly button. I didn't say stop, to quote Katy Perry.
And so what is Takers?
That was my question as well, because I always wanted to check the box office. I was like, okay, what was number one this week? Surely a movie I've heard of. And no, this is, I mean, August in 2010 is, it's the end of the summer. And if a big thing from July isn't still number one, then it often is a thing that is a new movie that's not as popular, but ends up at number one. So is a heist movie that has a pretty full cast. You got Matt Dillon, Paul Walker, Idris Elba, T.I., Chris Brown, Hayden Christensen, and Zoe Saldana. Like they're all in this movie, but I have never heard of it. I mean, it looks like a wannabe Heat of those many, heist films. With a cast like that, maybe it's even all right. But yeah, I had literally never heard of it before. Takers.
Wow.
And it was number one at the box office this week.
And we also have the 2010 Emmys. I'm looking at the stats here. Outstanding Comedy Series, Modern Family. Outstanding Drama Series, Mad Men. The win I cared about, though, was Bryan Cranston for Breaking Bad in 2010.
Yes. This is like really peak Breaking Bad popping in popular culture.
Yeah, wasn't it at the time like Mad Men would usually win it, but that I feel like John Hamm was always like nominated and never won for Best Lead Actor in Dramatic in the Emmys, right?
I don't fully remember, but I think it was something like that. I also remember in this era of the Emmys, if I cared at all, it was frustrating that year after year after year, Modern Family racks up everything while like 30 Rock is still rolling, and Community and Parks and Rec and all those other like actually good network TV comedies that had a bit more of Curb was on at the same time, but no, every year going back for more Modern Family.
Well, we can thank our lucky stars that Glee didn't win. I know nothing about Glee except for watching Community radicalize me against anyone who liked Glee and the program Glee itself.
That is for sure. I watched 2 episodes of it because it felt like gay homework, and I was like, all right, I probably should know. But and songs are fine, but it is like a laborious show to watch, and probably has aged poorly for I think a lot of complicated reasons with Glee. But
I always held a grudge against Glee for repopularizing "Don't Stop Believin'" or reinserting it into the pop culture. One of my least favorite songs of all time.
But that's what happened the week this episode aired.
And joining us this week is Chris Wade from Chapo Trap House and the Ant Introducing Podcast. Welcome to the show, Chris.
As I said, good news. It is a great time to talk about Futurama. I'm excited to be joining you for this unfortunately deeply mid episode of the show. But I love Futurama and I'm glad to be here.
There's a few good things to salvage. I will say we've been doing the Comedy Central seasons now. We're towards the end of the first season of 13 in quotes, and things are picking up. This is a little mid, but I'm here for Maurice LaMarche, as we talked about in the pre-show chat. But Chris actually reached out to be on Talking Futurama. And Chris, I want to know, it seems like you have a strong connection to the series if you want to be on our show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's my almost blasphemous secret, giving the context and fandom of the pod that I do, Chapo, which is a deeply avowed Simpsons loving show, is that I at the time was much like in the early 2000s, my high school era, was much more into Futurama than I was The Simpsons. The Simpsons peak era kind of passed me. I was not like hipped to what was good on TV when Simpsons was really peak. I was born in 88. So like, and I wasn't really allowed to watch like adult TV until like the late 90s. So I kind of missed those real hot seasons of The Simpsons. But Futurama dropped in 1999, right as I was discovering adult TV. So I got to watch along with that in its original run. And at that time, I was way, way more into it. I've seen every episode of the first 5 seasons of Futurama dozens of times, probably. And I do still think, even though I've since, gone back and been consumed every episode of The Simpsons from the first 12 seasons or so, at least, like, I think when it is rocking, like, the best episodes of Futurama go toe to toe with the best episodes of The Simpsons in just like pure jokes per minute, solid plot constructions, character beats. Like I do think that the best Futurama episodes are some of the best of the Groeningverse,
Yeah, Henry and I are a little bit older, and we took different paths, but we arrived at the same destination because when Futurama debuted, we were jaded teens who were getting tired of The Simpsons. We agree with the narrative. The Simpsons is bad now, but here is this new show that's funnier every week. And I know, at least during the initial run of Futurama, I was a much bigger fan of Futurama and also King of the Hill than The Simpsons also, that were running during that time as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, it was an interesting time, like where it felt like Futurama was like all where the good stuff went from The Simpsons or whatever, before I knew the names of writers or directors and all that on the show. But it kept getting stronger, too, as it went. And then on top of that, I think I really fell in love with Futurama extra from broadcast to the DVD releases because I got super into the Simpsons DVDs, and then it was very easy. Like, they don't release Simpsons DVDs that often, so in the months in between, I start getting into Futurama even more in their great DVD collections.
Yeah, and that is the cool thing about it. I mean, I also remember being frustrating and being one of the things that made me first like clue into like how TV works, because Futurama was always getting yanked around on the schedule. It was like sometimes actually hard to watch or like figure out when it was going to be on, but at the same, and it was always like on the verge of cancellation, if I remember correctly. But at the same time, it kept getting more ambitious, tighter, funnier up until its cancellation. And then I couldn't really believe that they brought it back. I remember the inter between movies, but now it's like, oh boy. I kind of wish that they had let this thing go.
There's it has one of the more successful reboots, I'll say, compared to other things, and I'd rather, now this might sound a little harsh, I'd rather watch an okay Futurama than the best that Disenchantment has to offer. I gave that show 3 seasons. We liked it in the beginning, and it kind of spun its wheels for a very long time, and ultimately disappointed with the project. But I feel like
that first season of Disenchantment, I thought it was interesting to see a Groeningverse thing do something with a little bit more serialized storytelling. And I thought that there was, the fantasy setting was fun for them to play around in. But I concur. Like, I watched like 1 episode of the 2nd season of that, and I was like, all right, I don't think this is going anywhere.
I think in the past we've diagnosed it as more of a Netflix problem than the writers. I want to be nice to the writers who, like, it really seemed like Netflix told them, no, this has to be a Netflix show that constantly has cliffhangers, which is the opposite of writing for a Matt Groening style show.
Yeah, I mean, there in the best of like the Futurama episodes, there are actually like really like stakes and good sci-fi storytelling that has like real peril in it. But the thing that's so satisfying about Futurama is how tight those really good episodes are in a really like good sci-fi or almost Twilight Zone style, like perfectly closed loop little sci-fi short story,
For real. Totally. I want to tell you, since we did our monorail live show, Chris, I have now been to multiple sets and props of the Music Man because I visited the Warner Brothers studio tour. So Chris, if you've never done, you live in LA.
Yes, I have done the Warner Brothers studio tour. I'm sure when I've done it, this is a big digression.
Sorry.
I'm sure you like seeing the thing that they had there that really blew my mind is one of the original like 2-story tall like cell photography things that Disney used to make like the Disney method of
the multiplane thing.
Like animation photography, which I thought was very cool to see in person.
Now, Henry, did you see all 76 trombones that led the big parade?
I think they only had one trombone in the case there. It's sad. They it was I've said it before, but it was right after it was within 5 months of us doing the live show. I went there and they were like, "Oh, this is where we filmed this thing in Young Sheldon, or this is where we film Abbott Elementary." And I was like, or Friends, and I was like, yawn. And they're like, "And here's where the 76 trombones march down the street in the Music Man." I was like, "Wow." But yes, sorry for the Music Man digression.
Yeah, we got to talk about that musical man.
We actually have one more segment to cover, Chris, before we get into the meat of the episode. And in this segment, we talk about what we were tweeting about on the day this episode aired. And that segment is called
This Day in Twitch Story.
Yes, it's This Day in Twitch Story, everyone's favorite segment on Talking Futurama. And I'm going to let everyone know what we all were tweeting about when this episode aired on August 26, 2010. I'll go first. This is what I was tweeting about. Bob, I'm in Arizona now. Was going to blog about the first leg of my trip, but I'm a little depressed about the whole I'm in Arizona now thing. And Bob Mackey lore here for everybody. This is my great drive out west where I stayed up until this very day. So I know, Chris, you recently did a journey out west not too long ago, right?
Yes. We moved from New York to LA in August of 23. It's great. I've really enjoyed moving out here. Obviously, this has been a stressful time in my personal and professional life due to things that have been going on with Chapo and the personnel and my close friends who work on it. But the actual living in LA of it all has been great.
I didn't quite make it there, Chris. I ended up living in Costa Mesa, California, because I was working for a video game developer. So, a stone's throw from LA or a 2-hour drive.
Yes, well, my mom lives in San Diego, so I'm up and down this part of the coast all the time.
What I remember most about that trip was playing Bayonetta in my hotel room on the way over there. The trip was uneventful, the drive. So that's what's happening with me. Henry, this is what Henry tweeted about, and I want to know the answer to this. We're uncovering more Henry lore on this podcast. Yeah. So Henry says, "Holy shit, secret gaming celeb sighting in the GR offices. Kind of freaking out. Keep your ears tuned to this week's TDAR to find out more." Now, in case you don't know, this is a podcast Henry was on 15 years ago. And I'm wondering, Henry, who was this celeb? Do you have the answer, or is this something you'll need to get back to me about?
Man, okay, you know what? I am going to say it was UFC legend Frank Shamrock, I believe it was. I think because he was in town to promote the EA MMA game, and I was very excited to talk to Frank Shamrock because he had fought pro wrestlers I knew, but so I could ask him about that. Yeah, and then he did a drop for the Talk Radar podcast that I was a mere like seventh chair on at the time before I became the truly powerful podcaster I am today.
Okay, I want to know the answer to that, so thank you. And Chris, we have a tweet from Chris. Chris, like
okay,
us,
great. I was going to take me too long to look it up myself, so I'm glad you have one.
I did the research. Chris was smart like us and got on Twitter when it was cool 15 years ago, and this is what Chris says. Netflix on my phone? The future is now, finally. # media consumption. So this really puts us in time. We were finally getting video on our phones. Streaming video had been a thing for, let's say, 3 or 4 years, and now you can watch Netflix on your phone.
Yes. Wow. What a 2010 ass tweet.
Yeah, to be excited about Netflix is very late odds coded.
I'm sure I meant that like somewhat ironically, or like trying to be a joking about like the excitement or push to that, but like Netflix is something I did download on my flip phone the day it came out, and I don't think I've watched a single second of Netflix on my phone in the intervening 15 years.
I think I once watched one tiny thing on Netflix on my 3DS just because it was possible.
No, but or also, you know what? This actually might make sense because at that time, in late summer 2010, my main gig was that I was trying to help this like 65-year-old guy who had a contract at PBS make a documentary about the naval war in the North Atlantic in the 1940s. So I was spending a lot of time driving up and down the eastern seaboard with this older man, videoing the inside of museum submarines. But that also meant that I was like staying in like shitty motels or in places as we did this in like Groton or where that's the Coast Guard college is. So I probably was actually genuinely happy to be able to like stream TV shows on my phone in an easy way because that was a very weird mobile summer for me.
Yeah, this is a time when Netflix was not making original programming, so we only had good shows that currently existed to watch, not their stuff.
Yeah.
It's before the algorithm told them what to make and to do things like they did to Disenchantment we talked earlier. Now I the only times I use Netflix on my phone are when it's the only option for Netflix, or say I've downloaded movies to watch on a flight with no Wi-Fi, or this just happened where me and my husband are watching a movie on regular TV, and then we say, wait, isn't that an actor from this thing? Or wait, wasn't this a line from an old thing? We pause the main TV, and then I'll pull up on my phone Netflix or some other thing to be like, okay, let's see the old scene on the old thing. So it's more of a second screen experience.
Yeah.
So now we can finally talk about the episode. I will only say the name of this episode one more time. It's Lrrreconcilable Ndndifferences. Thank you, Patrick Verone, for making such a complicated title. Every time I had to name a file something, put this title as a file name, I had to copy paste it from Wikipedia. I refused to write it again.
Me too. Though, on the commentary for not the episode, but for the video comic that they made for this episode, Patrick Verone distances himself from that title himself even, and he's like, I didn't name this, it was Dan Weber who came up with it. Blame him for the complicated spelling.
It is very stupid, but I do think it was. I remember watching this and being like, that's a clever name for those two characters and for this plot. There's
a late King of the Hill probably around this time with the same kind of title, because later in the show, I guess he's introduced earlier, but he becomes a character later. The character Enrique is a Strickland Propane employee. He splits with his wife, moves in with the Hills. The episode is called Lrrreconcilable Differences. Much easier to say and write.
See, all of these rich California comedy writers, they're experiencing divorce through either their own lives or friends, and so they learn about the term irreconcilable differences and are putting it into their comedy.
Well, it is one of those things where it's like, it almost makes me wonder if somebody came up with the joke name and then wrote the episode backwards from that.
Yeah. I mean, it's brilliant, and it's so overly convoluted in a very Futurama-y way. I can see that happening.
But I love this as an episode of a continuation of the Omicronian story and an upping of like, you know, the human horn episode I think is funnier than this. It has more jokes about penises for sure in it, but this continues it of all. Okay, now it's not just their sex life is dead, but they are just like on the brink of divorce. Like that's how bad it's getting for these two.
He's lost the passion for conquering worlds. I really just on these characters, I do really like the one with the single female lawyer episode where they're obsessed with past broadcasts of some like network legal drama that then the crew has to recreate. I think that one's quite funny. And that's the first one where we meet them, right?
Yeah, season 1 it's called When Aliens Attack. That's Lrrr and Ndndifferences, his wife, and we don't really get the dynamic between them until the problem with Poplar is referenced in this episode, where she becomes like the classic nag and he becomes the classic resentful husband, and they're both on the verge of domestic violence. But that's the episode where he's eating the human and she's like, "Do you want some human with your salt?"
Yes.
And we see more of the salt problem in this episode too.
Yeah, I really like that they become an outlet for a very specific complaint with basically, I would assume the writers who are in their 40s and 50s have general, like, you know, middle-aged man problems. The doctors tell them, like, cut down on sodium, don't eat such fatty foods, eat some vegetables, and she is trying to push him healthier.
His wife is making him egg white omelets and turkey burgers.
Yeah, right. And Verone admits as much. Like he's like, "Hey, I was going through a midlife crisis when I wrote this episode." He had turned 50. He had left his high-ranking position in the Writers Guild of America.
Yeah, he was president during the strike back then.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, after the 07-08 strike ended, I totally understand why he's like, you know what? I want to take a break and write about space alien divorce again. I don't want I don't want to lead these strikes next time.
I'm done with this highly politicized labor action.
Well, we open with another episode of The Scary Door, and we can speed through this. I don't think this one is as successful, and honestly, I think they really should have retired this device when they did The Scary Door, which was basically every Twilight Zone in a giant collision with each other. You know, why should I trust you? You're Hitler. When the guy's on the plane, it's every possible Twilight Zone happening at once.
Please help me, Ava Braun. Like, yeah, I think the joke's fun. This episode is full of like very fun Futurama David Cohen style turns of like, you know, why don't you believe? I'll tell you why I don't believe in aliens. You are one, like that. But
it's also like it's kind of like, well, okay, so what is the joke here? Is the joke that it makes no sense, or are these supposed to be? Because he's like, I don't believe aliens exist, but also you are one, and I don't know. It's like it's one of those things where I always bump against, especially in shows that I know can be so smart like this, when the joke is essentially like, hey, look at this purposely dumb thing that we made.
Yeah, I guess it's the twist is that the show forgets its own premise. Yeah, maybe.
I think honestly they redid it they did it again so they could do a widescreen, longer opening for The Scary Door, and the animation on the Dracula, or let's just say a vampire tap dancing. I love that animation so much in and of itself that I was like, you know what, I'm fine with this return to Scary Door.
Yeah, some fun visuals.
I also really like, the peeling the banana and there's a pickle inside. Ooh. Could you
Wasn't
imagine?
expecting that. Well, I mean, ultimately the point of this is we pull back from the TV, and now we're with Lrrr, and he's asleep, and there's trouble in paradise in our first clip.
Hey, I was watching that. The Saints just needed a field goal to tie.
Lrrr, you lazy ruler of the planet Omicron Persei 8. You said you would conquer a planet today, but you have not even shed your skin yet.
Yes, and I heard you the first 100 times. I'll conquer something tomorrow after I fuel up on one of your disgusting egg white omelets.
You want yolks? Fine. Enjoy your stroke.
And a lot of this is, I guess, the high concept device of we're basically writing Flintstones jokes or very classic sitcom jokes for these horrible, horrible aliens.
Yes. Yeah, that it's the honeymooners, but with these aliens. And I mean, I love to, like, it's perfect Lrrr as a sad loser guy, or who is in a depressive episode. He hasn't shed his skin all day, showered, and he's like sleeping in the afternoon with Twilight Zone reruns on. Like, that is a sign of like a major low point in your life.
Yes.
And he's basically being told to go out and get a job by his wife. Yeah.
I mean, I think I kind of like, again, I hope I'm not spending too much of this episode being like, this show was better 4 seasons ago, but I like the Omicronians jokes better when it was more focused on how foreign Earth concepts are to them, more than that they're a dysfunctional they're married with children or whatever.
I think I do. One of the most enduring lines from the show that I've now seen, I'm starting to see it used on social media almost as much as, like I said, the quiet part loud as a reference to like media is, I see all the time, why does this character not simply just eat the other smaller character?
Exactly.
The largest friend.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, and that is if we are to identify a single enduring Omicronians joke, that is the one, and that is much more in the realm of like our Earth ways are strange and foreign to these violent space warlords. Then she's got she literally, there's so much mileage in this episode of she's literally got the frying pan.
Yes. And I mean, we talked about this before, Chris, but to remind our listeners, every time the show comes back, they don't have as big of a writing staff. So the magic of the early years was all of these PhDs and 2 smart nerds together in one room, and then they basically cut that in half for the Comedy Central seasons. And a big writing room does not always equal a hilarious show. A friend of the show, Bill Oakley, says he does not like writing rooms anymore, and he doesn't think that's the key to a very, very funny show. It can lead to a lot of arguments, a lot of like just very, very late nights for no reason. But in the case of Futurama, I think more writers does equal more good.
Yeah. I mean, I assume it's case by case, but I can assume I've heard from friends that it can sometimes be very enervating, but then also from people who've said like, when you're there and it's just clicking with people, it's like the absolute best way to work in that medium. So yeah, there was definitely something cooking in the original Futurama writings room, and I did not know that about the cutting of the size of the rooms, but it's grimly hilarious that you can see that 1-to-1 reflected with like the quality of the output.
Yeah, we need a bunch of nerds arguing over, is this the best form of this joke?
Yeah,
Can we make this even more esoteric for the Comedy Central audience?
Yeah, esoteric but clear, I would say, is like how the original magic of Futurama is like some really wacky out there science stuff, but always like the writing is like, you get what this is supposed to be, like immediately.
Yeah, and then after this scene with Lrrr and Ndndifferences, we cut to the Adventures of Delivery Boy Man, which is a comic that Fry is drawing, and it's great voice acting by Billy West, doing all the sound effects, doing all the voices, funny crude drawings. It's kind of like watching an animatic for a show that was never made, but very poorly done. My only issue with this is, when you make Fry this childish, it feels like it should be illegal for Leela to be sexually interested in him. He does feel like, at this point, you're like, is Fry intellectually disabled? Like, I feel like they've regressed him too much in scenes like this.
Yeah, he's not written this stupid this season. But it's so fun to see his bad art, but it's inconsistent with how dumb or not Fry has become by this season. But I mean, I said the same thing when we did the Star Trek episode, where it's like, is he smart enough to have been a Star Trek nerd? Like that almost seemed wrong to me with Fry. But this, man, I really do like his bad comic book, but this is the comic book of a 6-year-old.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like I feel like this is something that happens whenever Fry gets relegated to like B and C plots. It's like, if you're trying to go for just like a quick joke, it's like, I don't know, hand stuck in the vending machine style humor with him.
Yeah, it's regressed a little too much, and there are some clever things about this, where the resolution of Delivery Boy Man is to go back in time to before when there was a problem, and then he can kiss Leela. But that's kind of it. These are cute, but I guess, Henry, there was a Delivery Boy Man comic, right, for Comic-Con 2010.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, this also is. I think in this episode it is full of like fan service and love for the fans and self-celebration, but they're going to go to Comic-Con later, and part of promoting at Comic-Con used this episode. And so Bongo Comics, which if you don't know was the Matt Groening owned official publishing arm of Simpsons and Futurama Media, like Matt Groening retained the publishing rights to The Simpsons, which a deal would never ever happen now with any cartoon. And so he also published Futurama comics. Patrick Verone actually did write some Futurama comics as well as for the show, despite being like, and it must be something he loves because it certainly wouldn't be the pay for like a Harvard graduate, head of the WGA, to write it. And so after he wrote this for the show, I think it was his idea to pitch it as a comic, and then they printed it as a comic that was their free comic they gave away at their booth and at their panel at San Diego Comic-Con in 2020. And there's full scans of it online if you search for Delivery Boy Man comic. The DVD has an like a full video version of it with Billy West voiceover. That was fun, but it's also funny on the commentary that the animation head, Claudia Katz, throws a little shade at it like, oh, you just traced drawings from our artists and didn't credit them when you published this as a comic. How nice.
Actually, I said animatic earlier. Fry's comic reminds me of that brief wave of motion comics that were popular late aughts, early 2010s, where instead of reading Watchmen, you can watch someone cut up all of the artwork and make it move like a Newgrounds cartoon.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't they essentially do that for the Watchmen movie?
Man.
Doing the what is the comic within the comic? The Black
Oh,
Sail
the Black,
or
yes.
that
Yeah, the Black Sails one.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
That's like a DVD extra or something, or like a direct-to-video.
Okay, speaking of all this and Watchmen, did you guys go to Comic-Con during this era? Because I feel like this is like peak, specifically San Diego Comic-Con as like a cultural force and locus of like entertainment industry stuff.
I was never sent there. I was in the games industry, as was Henry. I went to E3, but Henry has been to Comic-Con multiple times.
Thank hey, since you asked, Chris, thank you for setting it up. I went to many Comic-Cons. I went to, by my count, I want to say 6. I went to 6. One as a fan in 2008, and the rest professionally, and they were always my favorite. One of my favorite things to cover all year. It was so much easier than E3 because video games were like the 5th or 6th most important thing at them. So I had fewer appointments and I could actually sneak my way into like, can I interview a TV show or movie person? And it's sort of about a video game. So that's when I got to like interview Phil Lamar or Adam West. Like those were the great moments.
Henry, you said that video games are number 5. Number 1, information about the show Chuck. That's why you went to Comic-Con.
Fuck, I haven't thought about Chuck in so long, but yes, people were obsessed with that. Henry, we might have walked by each other because the only time I've been to San Diego Comic-Con was in 2008. I was living in LA that summer, interning, and I have family down in San Diego, so I figured I got to go see what all this is about. So I went down to San Diego for the weekend and went to, I think, one day of San Diego Comic-Con just to like get a scene check. And I remember that year, the big thing that they were promoting that was everywhere was the Watchmen movie. Like 2-story tall posters for it everywhere. I don't think I like did anything, but I was there and wandering around in the summer of 2008.
It to quote Zap Brannigan later in the episode, it sickens me all that Watchmen stuff back then as a Watchmen insane fan. But yes, I remember 2008 as I went to it with my pals because we had a friend who was in the Navy and stationed there at the time. So he's like, hey, I'll host you guys, free stay. We go. This was, I want to say, less than 2 weeks after The Dark Knight came out in theaters. And the Joker ruled that Comic-Con. Heath Ledger Joker was every single place.
Yeah, it is weird thinking about like the flips of stuff that has happened since then, because like, yeah, Heath Ledger Joker, but you guys mentioning Chuck again just like takes me back to a different era of TV where you would be like, the insane Chuck heads are out, and we're gonna like, they're gonna be spoilers for the new season of Chuck, or we're gonna know who all the guest stars on the next season of Dexter is gonna be, or I hear Duchovny's doing a Californication panel, and like, it's kind of funny because there were all these things, but there was still like few enough that they could all have their own fandoms. Whereas now, like, it's hard to admit, like, what would you even be out now? Like a Stranger Things panel? That's like the only thing that people would be caring about now. They're still bringing back Dexter 15 years later.
I guess 2010 was still the nerds had not won, and now they fully have one, and we just live in Comic-Con now.
Comic-Con America.
That's it. Like Target is Comic-Con, or like any department store is Comic-Con.
Totally.
We'll see what happens at this year's Comic-Con. What I remember only really announced at last year's Comic-Con was that it was Marvel spending a lot of money to desperately recapture the feeling of when the MCU like wasn't looked down upon as crummy. So that, I mean, because they ended it with, who's going to be Dr. Doom? That's right. We paid the most money ever, and Robert Downey Jr. is back, except he's Dr. Doom. Crazy, huh?
Yeah, I don't get what they're doing with that. Good luck, Marvel. That seems like that ship has sailed. I'll see what you do with the X-Men in 10 years or whenever you get your shit together to do that.
So nobody cares about the story of a delivery boy who was bitten by a radioactive Superman, but Zoidberg finds one thing he does love.
This is wonderful.
It is, isn't it? Wait, those are the ads.
These X-ray specs will really take the guesswork out of surgery. No more chopping blindly in the goop.
Don't waste your allowance, Zoidberg. This stuff is butt-grade crap.
Amuse your friends with real vomit.
Throw your voice.
Sea monkeys.
Throw your sea monkeys.
My disintegrator ray really works.
But that's you.
That's how I know it's bunkum. The Farnsworth Novelty Disintegrator Ray is nothing more than a common teleporter ray. Worthless toy. I'm sick of being critiqued by nitpicking nerds. I'm taking this to a comic book convention.
Sheesh, it's crowded.
Good thing everyone is freshly bathed and groomed.
I'm not sure if that aspect has changed at all, but a good observation.
Yeah. No, everything, like these jokes work for any Comic-Con, but they are drawing the outside of the San Diego Convention Center. These are the exact aisles that were there. Everybody's walking around with these specific type of long, crinkly plastic bags that are given away at every booth. Like it's so specific. And I say this too because Matt Groening is a big part of Comic-Con. Like he has been part of Comic-Con before people knew who Matt Groening was. Like I found a 1990 interview with him where it's like he's the king of Comic-Con because The Simpsons just got huge, and he's talking about how he had been going there for almost 10 years at that point as a struggling independent artist. Though also, if you see the 1990 Comic-Con in that footage, you'd be like, wow, this is so small by comparison.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked back in some of that early Comic-Con history because it is so funny that because I am, as I said earlier and brought it up, I am like fascinated by this single event as like such a driving force for culture, even though it seems like it is waned in the past few years. But like thinking about it as such a niche thing for absolute weirdos and fringe obsessives, like actually an underground thing in like I think it started in like 72 or something for those first like 3 decades to then become the driver of culture for, I guess, a decade itself. It's a fascinating event.
Yeah, like in 1991, when they sent Bart and Lisa to a comic convention, the writers were thinking, is this too niche? Will people know even what this is? And those were the conventions I went to as a kid. They were just in a local hotel's ballroom, and it was just a bunch of dealers in one room.
I'm familiar,
and that was it. Maybe one celebrity.
With that scene through a brief stint in middle school as a Magic the Gathering player.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, no, it was. If you didn't live this, like it might seem crazy in a pre-internet age too. That like I went to mainly MegaCon in Orlando and DragonCon in Atlanta. Those were my main ones growing up, and I experienced Comic Cons this was the only time you heard people like talk about comic books or other nerd stuff on any kind of elevated form on a stage. Or you could now you can tweet at and probably see too much on Twitter of your favorite creators. But back then you'd never know what Todd McFarlane looked like until you got in line to get his signature. But this was them kind of interrogating what current Comic-Con by that point was, though so many, I was trying to track how many shows did their Let's Go to Comic-Con episodes. Like Clerks did theirs in their 6th episode, making fun of it, for instance.
Yeah. And we're about to do a Simpsons where they go to a Comic-Con and Matt Groening is
That's
a
right.
guest.
Yeah, there's and also the ending of Ted 2, 5 years after this, is set at New York City Comic-Con. Specifically, it's like, oh, that is like, and I've been there a few times. I'm like, no, that is the Javits Center. That's where they filmed it at. It's not
that beautiful glass and steel spaceship, the Javits Center.
So, and yeah, Futurama always very active at Comic-Con. They always had, when they were trying to get fan excitement for a relaunch, that would be at panels to be like, hey, tell Fox that you want us to come back, cheer, yay, and then they record it and share it. But so they care very much about San Diego Comic-Con.
Well, over the course of 6 production seasons of Futurama, this is the one Shatner joke they didn't use or weren't able to use, and that is the sabotage joke, where Zoidberg is eating the Zap Brannigan figure. It's a cute joke because it says mint in box, and he thought there was a mint in the box. I like that. And it is the recording session outtake Zap Brannigan figure. And it's the classic, I don't need to play the clip for Talking Futurama listeners. It's Shatner's being corrected on his pronunciation of sabotage. And he gets very testy with the audio engineer. He goes, it sickens me. Don't tell me how to say it.
Yes, it's great. I also love that in this episode where Act 2 has several jokes built around Maurice LaMarche's ability to imitate a, underground tape of multiple takes by Orson Welles. Then they have another joke of Billy West doing the same for Shatner.
And we covered it a few years ago. On the Star Trek reunion episode, they did cut a sabotage joke.
So
that's on the deleted scenes.
And
I think it's a Canadian thing.
Part of a decade.
They finally jumped on it. And I think it's a Canadian thing because my wife is Canadian, and Canadians say pasta.
Sabotage.
And often they will say taco in Futurama. So they're in a different world than us normal speakers of English.
I was unfamiliar with this Shatner lore. I mean, I assumed that the toy thing was a reference to some legendary piece of nerd lore, but I didn't know that it was a specific Shatner recording session.
I think before we all got the internet, it was one of 5 outtakes people knew about. It was like that, the Casey Kasem Dead Dog dedication, Orson Welles doing...
or another classic Kasem, these guys are from England and who gives a fuck?
Yes.
from introducing you, getting frustrated introducing U2 on... TV.
It was just probably passed around on the same cassette tape, duplicated over and over again before the internet.
I just learned deep Kasem lore that from listening to the ancient commentary for Ghostbusters that at the Rick Moranis party in the movie when he dances with the cute blonde girl at his party, that's Casey Kasem's wife, who they put in the movie because Casey Kasem did an appearance earlier in the film Ghostbusters.
Oh, nice.
But video game the movie and movie the video game, that seems quaint in today's media landscape.
Yeah, although we're still making video game the movie because, hell, Borderlands was a thing. But now we're canceling all of the movie the video game games.
It's true. They a bunch just got canceled the other day at the time of this recording, including a Wonder Woman game. And then they decided, why don't we just fire everybody at this studio? It's not like it's been open for 30 years.
Oh, God. And I just saw that that speaking of Marvel, doesn't Marvel have one of the most successful games in the market right now? And then they still just fired everybody at that studio.
That's right. Yep.
They're like, Content Farm can take care of this from now on. You have fun. Actually, Chris, since you never heard it, I can play the sabotage clip for you here.
Show me some sabotage.
Spock, sabotage the system.
Okay, can you have line 193 again with sabotage, pronounced sabotage?
I don't say sabotage. You say sabotage. I say sabotage.
I mean, it sounded pretty fine to me.
So we go to Ballroom 20, which is actually where they have these Futurama Simpsons panels, I guess. Matt Groening's other panel.
I have been to many a Ballroom 20 panel, and it is a very realistic creation of it. It's a good-sized room if you can't get Hall H. And Futurama, Simpsons can get Hall H. Futurama gets Ballroom 20.
Matt Groening still making new animated shows. This one is called Futurella, about the far-off year of 4000, but it is instantly canceled the second they start showing the trailer. Which Futurama has now come back a third time. I think they can stop being salty over this, although I understand.
Yeah, it's a funny gag to put in the reboot of the 7th season of the second show you've had, while the first show is running in its 20th season at that time. Like, how salty are you going to be about this?
Yeah. He's still working for Fox, getting paid by Fox, and I feel like they got their victory lap out of their system with the first movie, but it is weird to see it happening like halfway or like towards the end of this first new season.
And I'm glad at the lineup of heads they drew so many people in there with helpful name tags, just in case you're not a freak who can recognize the drawing of David X. Cohen when you see him.
Yeah. I guess that's his first spoken role on a TV show, spoken line on a TV show. Although if you've heard the commentaries, you've heard David X. Cohen a lot.
Yeah,
and his very, very distinct voice.
It's Peter Avanzino, Claudia Katz, Crystal Chesney, Thompson, Mac Rating, David X. Cohen, Patrick Verone, and Ken Keeler. And the robot is drawn to look like Bill Morrison, the editor-in-chief of Bongo Comics. We've only had 2 of these people on the podcast for interviews. We have to complete this number someday.
Have you talked to Cohen?
No, he's not online, and we actually told Bill Oakley, "Hey, give us his information so we can bother him," and he politely said no.
Okay,
because he's like, I'm with David X. Cohen. Ask me any questions you want, and I was like, "Can you talk to us? Can we bother him?"
We have precisely one question for him. Will you come on the pod?
I just want to ask him about like the 3 Beavis and Buttheads he wrote. I don't care about Futurama.
I still have some Poochie questions for him. But Bill Oakley answered most of our Poochie questions, but I still got a couple.
And the moderator starts up a Q&A, always the best part of these panels, and reminds the audience, don't ask questions about The Simpsons. We're here to talk about Futurella. And I imagine that on the Disenchantment panels, they had to give many disclaimers, like, don't ask about this, don't ask about that. We're here for Disenchantment.
Yeah, it is literally hell to sit in those audiences and hear questions being asked that are the worst questions ever by people who ask like a thing that's not about this, who have more of a statement than a question. Or like I have been actually, Bob, we were at that Kids in the Hall brain candy thing, and I got in line to ask questions, and I couldn't stand it anymore. There was a woman in front of me who asked a terrible question. I just shouted like, "That sucks! My question's better." Shut up!
Henry does try to rescue Q&As, but I think there's no rescuing a Q&A. There's never a good Q&A.
Yes, this is why we do not do them at our live shows.
That's for the best.
That's neither.
Yeah.
But yes, Bender is assassinated by Matt Groening for asking about a second Simpsons movie at this panel. And this is funny because 15 years later, this is the question they're asked in every interview. Matt Groening, Al Jean, every writer. It's the first thing they have to discuss with any interviewer because even 15 years later, people want to know, where is the next Simpsons movie?
Well, maybe they should have made that first Simpsons movie so shockingly good.
It's really unfortunate that it's just a checklist of, is this professional jealousy of people who get access to Mac Rating and ask the same question over again? Maybe, but it's just a checklist of Simpsons movie. When's the last episode? Do you still work on the show every day?
Yeah.
What do you think of original Bartmania? Like, it's all the same. It's all the same. It's why I appreciate good writers like Alan Siegel, who he actually bothered with writing like asking people new things about The Simpsons.
Yeah, I thought like all that stuff, like lore questions, I find deeply. I mean, the only thing I ever want to know from people or talking to famous people is like process questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like how do you work? Essentially,
yeah, we really always want to know about the writers' room when we talk to Simpsons writers. Like who came up with what were you doing? What's the process like?
What's the order of things? Like when there's final input put in? Like all that stuff I find interesting. Trying to clarify lore, get people caught up in I sure hope somebody got fired for that mistake type things.
Yes,
really irritating. And when
and
is
also,
something coming? It's coming when we announce it.
Yeah.
Or could you spoil this for me, please? Like, what's the end of your movie? Like, yeah. And I think this joke gets another thing I hated these panels too, of like, there's one famous person on the panel and they're the only one who gets any questions and everybody else on the panel gets like nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Fry is not at the Futurella panel because he's busy talking to our first special guest here.
Mr. Aragones, I'm a big fan of your cartoons and your mustache.
You want it? Take it. It's brought me nothing but misery.
Wow, thanks.
Ay.
If you could just quiet down, I wanted to get your opinion of my comic book.
Senor, anyone who still writes comics is a hero to me. It stinks. But I do like the tiny doodles in the margins.
Oh, that's just some relish from a hot dog I found.
Attention, ladies and gentleboys. The costume contest is about to begin.
The costume contest! The costume contest!
So yeah, Sergio Aragonés, now 87 years young. I don't know if Gru is still an ongoing thing. That is his comic that had been going on since, I believe, 1982.
Well, his co-creator Mark Evanier is still writing stuff too. I haven't kept up with Gru either, even though I was a big Gru fan in the 90s. But yeah, I mean, what a living legend. I mean, this is also like, Matt Groening, most of the Mad Magazine cartoonists he grew up reading are no longer with us, but Sergio Aragonés, because he got his start like in his teens, he's still doodling around, and he is like one of the most like prolific, just how he is such a quick artist. He has drawn so much.
I was just thinking about Mad Magazine. For whatever reason, I had a very clear memory come back to me about reading a Mad Magazine movie parody of Basic Instinct called Basically It Stinks, and recalling reading that as like a 7-year-old going like, damn, that's good. They got them.
Got their asses.
But yeah, I loved Mad Magazine. I at a shared family summer house one summer, I found a trunk of like hundreds of mads and cracked that had been collected by the various like different parts of the family members that shared this summer house going back into the early 80s. And that was a big like learning what things like what pop culture references were for me experience. And I was subscribed to it up into high school. I was a big Mad reader.
I was leaning outside of the frame because I was consulting the Bob Mackey Mad Magazine archives because this is from, let me see, April of 89. So if you want to see them take down 30-something, those smug fuckers on 30-something, this is what you've got to read.
Yeah.
But I will say, I did not keep a ton of my Mads. I kept some of my favorite ones, but if you want to buy Mad magazines, it is a buyer's market because they are valueless. You can buy, I think starting in the 60s is when they start to get a tiny bit pricey, but still, marginally affordable. But anything from the 70s or 80s, you're looking at like $3 an issue for, like, it really didn't change much from the cover price of 37 years ago.
Sergio is like seriously one of the best. Like he's he's a Mexican American legend, like a Mexican legend, and has lived in America for decades now. And just he was working a ton on Simpson stuff at the time. They talk about it even on the commentary. But if you want to see a great piece of Sergio Aragonés art that he did for The Simpsons. In 2004, Simpsons Comics 100, he did a 2-page spread of basically the Baimon sci-fi con from the show that is like seriously packed with at least 100 jokes in a 2-page spread. Like it is so dense in detail in his doodles. Like it has to be seen to believe. And there's scans online. Just look for that 2-page spread there that he did. It's just amazing.
Oh my God. I've pulled this up.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's just.
And these mad guys, if they retire, their blood stops pumping, which is why Al Jaffe retired at 99, and then he died shortly thereafter. I mean, I think the dying was always in the cards, frankly, but maybe he could have hung in there for another like 18 months if he kept doing fold-ins.
Also, as a comic nerd, I really did love that not only did they have him on here, but they make the joke last actual comic book booth, which is sadly more and more true at major cons that there is the artist alley, which is, in the old spirit of the cons, it's like the artists have their own booths where they sell their stuff, and the artists are not being charged what you charge, Universal Studios to have a booth there. But the real estate keeps shrinking, or it gets more and more marginalized or pushed to the side. I believe at like a recent New York Comic Con, it got put in a different building than the actual thing.
I remember going to the last time I went to New York Comic Con, you had to like really hoof it to find where the actual comics artists were. And I even as somebody who's like not hyper dedicated in the comics world, I was like, this seems disrespectful to the spirit of what this is supposed to be.
Yeah, it's really it's too bad because that's obviously where it all comes from, and also like not just the artists who do original art of their own stories, but even just the creators of the Marvel comic books that become trillion-dollar franchises who get paid, if they're lucky, $5,000 for a character being in a movie. Then they have to like sign stuff at tables to scrape by a meager living. It's
the people who even know that they are there had to walk like a half mile to find them.
Yeah, often these creators aren't even invited to the movie premieres for their the movies these characters are starring in, so
Yes.
I don't see a lot of respect there. But yeah, you really need to go to local conventions and like horror and classic video game conventions to find the comic artists and like the game cover artists or like the VHS cover artists. That's where they're usually hiding.
I think another weird change to cons since 2010 is, and I've seen the on the podcast Blank Check, Griffin Newman talked about the person to blame for this is Stephen Amell, because he went to these cons and saw just how much money as a celeb you can make there, and he bragged about it. And he's apparently the one who recruited a lot more celebs who would have thought, oh, doing signings at a convention not worth my time. Now they all want to do it and collect that money.
We really need to reinstill shame into our celebs and famos, because it is getting the amount of prostrating these people will do for the tackiest and chintziest things. Like I was thinking about this during the Super Bowl. It's like get some self-respect, celebs.
Yeah, John Goodman, for a fashion, maybe he's still doing this. He was playing a human thumb for a gambling ad.
Oh, God.
Yes, oh my God, the gambling ads are the ones that really just kill me. And like anytime a famous person pops up in one, I'm just like, I've lost respect for you.
I mean,
like,
some of them
maybe like if it's somebody like Ryan Reynolds, obviously he's been on that race to the bottom shamelessness grind forever. But anybody that I have like an ounce of respect for, the second they do crypto, AI, gambling, I'm like, it's over. Yeah, you've lost.
Not to linger
Zero
on
integrity.
the Goodman thing, but like you were in Barton Fink, you were on a network sitcom for 9 years when that mattered. Like, why is the thumb money that much better than sitcom residuals?
And they're already rich. It's like, I mean, it's same with like Harrison Ford is in everything now, and it must be his accountant told him like, hey, in 5 years you won't be able to earn any more money. You are this close to seriously being unable to do things. So you better, if you're going to make $20 million this year, it's got to be this year. It's not going to be in 2030.
He can't fly. He's got to do something.
I do respect those people who, you know, didn't have the Harrison Ford style careers and were in niche things that had perpetual fandoms and got by doing like contours and stuff like that, even if it is maybe vaguely humiliating. And they do make fun of it and stuff like, you know, the in the Futurama, like the Star Trek reunion episode and stuff like that.
Well, I want to kind of skim past this costume contest because there's nothing super great here. It's just a lot of fun visual gags. And honestly, the Spider-Man guy in the mobility scooter shooting whipped cream is really low-hanging fruit.
I did not like that at all.
And there's nothing funny about wearing Spider-Man clothes either.
Yes.
It's very respectable,
dignity.
and it's what cool people do.
At times, Henry will have up to 4 or 5 Spider-Man items on his person. Henry, I think you're clean now, right?
Knowing that there was the joke in this one, I actually really made sure I was not wearing any Spider-Man today. Just a Dragon Ball T-shirt or sweater.
Nothing
instead.
nerdy about that. Well, ultimately, the point of this scene is that Lrrr crashes Comic-Con, so let's hear that.
I am Lrrr, ruler of the planet Omicron Persei 8. You are hereby conquered. Please line up in order of how much beryllium it takes to kill you.
Damn, that's a good costume.
Next up, contestant 38.
I don't understand. Why are the humans still eating their soft pretzels instead of surrendering?
They're probably just waiting for Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon's here? Wait a minute. You look familiar.
Yeah, you almost ate me once. I was in your mouth for 5 minutes.
Leela?
And the winner is Nerdgasma! Woo! I got fruit boobs!
What's the use? Now what?
I send you out to conquer a planet, and all you bring back is J.J. Abrams' face?
I thought you'd like it. You haven't even tried it on.
I might dress up in a face if you ever took me anywhere nice.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
And by the way, Bender dressed up as Leela, a.k.a. every man's fantasy, or every nerd's fantasy.
Yeah, his fruit boobs is fine. I mean, cosplay is a huge part of the cons. I once, at the time of I did that tweet, I was working with a coworker who did great cosplay and worked for months every year to be ready for the Comic-Con cosplay. She was big into it.
And yeah, J.J. Abrams, he deserves getting his face ripped off, but Joss Whedon a little more, I'll say.
See, this is back when everybody just loved him. Like, everybody just loved Joss Whedon, and it was like, it's a joke. The joke is, even Lrrr has heard of Joss Whedon and thinks it's awesome.
Well, he is obsessed with Earth TV.
That's
so
true.
He presumably is at least
I think he's
aware.
just getting Buffy if the single female lawyer timeline works out.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
and this is where another guest is, right?
Yes. We will talk about her in her first formal scene, but I honestly think introducing her here is a mistake because it really shows too many cards. I don't know why they did this.
Yeah, it does work at setting up why later she is into Zoidberg.
She dresses up as more than one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of like the foreshadowing to it, but it's so obvious that something's going on because they have to be so tight on highlighting jokes. It's like, why? Who is this random person? Why are they giving comment?
Who's this new
now?
voice we're hearing? This is not like Tress McNeil.
Hearing the J.J. Abrams joke too made me go I wanted to see what's he up to, and there's literally enough for a huge Wikipedia page called Unrealized J.J. Abrams Projects. He announces everything and does nothing.
Yeah.
This fucking guy. And hey, I'll give him credit. In this shitty age, if you can scam David Zaslav out of $30 million to not make a movie, then good for you, I guess. But he doesn't make shit.
Yeah, I mean, going back to something we talked about earlier, he's the movie man. I've heard of the music man.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
I mean, this is, again, this would be the in this era of peak Comic-Con, he was going to be the new hero. People were talking about him the new Spielberg around this time,
And then Super 8 came out and people realized oh no wait, this is
maybe not.
He can't do Spielberg. Yeah.
Maybe not. Lrrr's back home. They're griping with each other. I love his line, "I built this castle with my own 2 slaves." And this is when P is kicked out. He gets a frying pan embedded in the back of his head. They did upgrade from the rolling pin. That's the more stereotypical domestic abuse weapon. So there you go. They one up that a little bit.
Well, something that really made me laugh recently is the Lex G movie podcast, great movie podcast. Lex G, a legendary film poster, describing Elle Fanning in A Complete Unknown as giving Bob both the rolling pin and the frying pan.
I guess they had done the rolling pin joke before because when Leela became the superhero Clobberella, her logo was an arm with a rolling pin, grasped by a rolling pin. Other way around.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so pure Futurama that you have all these space aliens, and it still comes down to the most cliched of ancient jokes of the wife with the frying pan.
Yeah.
And also, the last bit of Comic-Con was that at that Ballroom 20 thing, they showed this up to now in the episode. This entire first act was what they played at that panel in 2010 that year, as they remark on the commentary that they recorded days before it aired on Comedy Central.
Yeah, I guess they knew who they were playing to, so they're showing this late season episode to the people who would like it most.
See, then that makes this even so. I find all this self-referentiality of this segment just on the inside side of tedium, knowing that they potentially set it all up not to have fun exploring this space as a comedic premise, but possibly to purposely create something with the sole purpose of tantalizing the people at the Comic-Con. I don't know. That makes it a little more tedious.
It's the fluff a room full of nerds. And I mean, we're 15 years removed, I will say. At the time, it was kind of exciting. Wow, nerds have a little power now these days, and we can see nerdy things on television. And hey, Futurama, I'm always rooting for them. So now it's not as special. It does feel like a little self-aggrandizing, maybe.
Yeah, and especially after all this stuff completely cannibalized all of culture, it's not as it doesn't feel as cheeky anymore. It feels more like a threat.
Yes. Fans weren't being serviced all of the time then, exactly. So it still felt special. I think too the writers they write from experience, and once you become a famous person and make money, like you're not having regular person experiences. So, if you've gone to Comic-Con for 20 years, you're like, you know what, there's funny things about this. This is my life experience now.
Yeah.
So Act 2 opens. Lrrre's asleep on the couch, just trashed the entire place, raided the liquor cabinet, sprayed urine all over the ceiling and the walls, as Amy notes. And we get the return of the Finglonger as it's used to prod Lrrre to wake him up. So it has many uses.
A space alien covered in urine, that's a good thing to poke with a Finglonger. You don't want to touch that with your real finger.
And Lrrre's thoughts are, my wife hates me and planetary conquest has become a chore. So almost it's also like it's getting a job and it's also having sex, I think.
Yeah.
This conquest idea.
Well, I like how they write all his interactions with Leela right from them talking about the soft pretzels it's an emotional affair. He never wants to have sex with Leela. That's the problem. But it's that from the second he meets her, he's like, Leela? Like, this is running into an old, high school buddy who you then start cheating on your wife with. Like, that's how it's kind of written.
Even if I find the bossy wife trope, again, a little tedious in this, I do think it is funny that the emotional part of the emotional affair is that he has found another bossy woman to boss him around, and they have to have a boss off at the end. That's
by
funny
virtue
direction to take this.
Of only being the only competent person on the Planet Express team, Leela has to be the bossy one.
Mm-hmm. Though it eventually all just comes down to saying, these wives already. Come on, guys.
Always telling you what to do.
So Farnsworth tells Lrrre he's having a midlife crisis. Lrrre draws his gun and says, Lrrre demands the comfort of pop psychological platitudes. And this is when they give him advice.
Look, Hoss, your wife threw you out. That's your license to be a jerk. Do whatever the hell you want, then walk away and light a cigar.
Don't listen to him, Lrrre. Bender may seem happy, but long term, you need to reinvest in your relationship with Ndndifferences.
Yes, it is clear what I must do.
And then a very long montage where he's doing all the midlife crisis stuff, but he's a scary alien.
Yeah, with a good ripoff of or imitation of the Born to Be Wild riff by Chris Ting. I take that as. Yeah, Bender is the perfect co-pilot for midlife crisis. He's the perfect toxic male energy to be like, here's how to be a jerk and get laid.
I do think that this segment is, I think, probably the most pure fun in this episode, even if it's not tremendously funny, but I do love seeing Lrrre get his hype track jacket and sunglasses and the horn extensions and going space clubbing and stuff like that. I think that is some fun premise stuff.
Yeah, he's getting his groove back, and they're laying down some plot tracks where you see that his gun is actually a gun in this scene where he shoots the tailor for complimenting him, I guess. Mm-hmm. And then it will be replaced with the teleporter gun when he hooks up with Girl soon after this.
I'll credit them for setting up the teleporter gun in a way that I did not feel on first viewing or even late return to viewing for this. That was like, oh, they're setting that up for a plot device later. It just seemed like a funny bit about bad comic book ad junk sold.
And they go to Malfunctioning Eddie's. We see Victor. We don't hear him, but we do actually hear him in this a little deleted scene.
Yes, it is clear what I must do. The 3011 Thunder Cougar Falconbird. It comes equipped with both interior and exterior. I have but one question. Are you a big enough jerk to own this car?
So, yeah, I was wondering why he would be there and we wouldn't hear him. But, yeah, deleted scene there with good old Victor.
I love that scene from the first episode that they're in where Amy's buying the car, right? Is it the joke? He's like, the dashboard is made with 100% pure eagle beaks. Also, there are some eagles in the trunk.
There's a lot of endangered animals involved.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what would Amy's response say? That's a lot of eagles.
And Lrrre also gets plastic surgery, and they kind of want to make him look more like a human, but it's pointed out that his horns are essentially his reproductive organs, so he gets those extended, perhaps like a certain billionaire, rumors say.
Yes. Which tracks that he refers to, that calls back to referring to Fry's, quote, horn in the previous episode.
Yeah.
Wow. Right. Hey, that's good. I mean, what a very Futurama line. Also, they house my testes.
Yes.
And,
Also, they house my testes. I do like the plastic surgeon like dialing up the thing to give Lrrr the human, the like standard Futurama normal guy face.
Yes. But Bob, you're right. Lrrr does not buy a social media platform, a president, or do tons of drugs.
No,
like
he
some
actually wants to
people
have sex.
Yes.
Yeah.
How strange. Yeah, so they go to the hip joint, which we've seen multiple times throughout. It is the Jetsons-looking club that everyone goes to dance and drink at. Bender's his wingman here. He calls him Borgnine, and he asks Lrrr, "What's your type?" And Lrrr pulls out an issue of Horno. And instead of doing the joke where it's a very long centerfold, it's more of like a roadmap to display the full beauty of an Omicronian woman.
I love that design of a Omicronian Marilyn Monroe. Like it's the classic Marilyn Monroe Playboy fold out pose. And also I love that Bender, like they could have done a joke of like, ew, I'm disgusted by it. But Bender's vision zooms in because he also is really turned on by Marilyn Monroe Necronian.
I think then his like boner eyes will then sag immediately after he sees it though. He's interested in the porn, but then he realizes what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
I did enjoy the gag of the magazine fold out that just keeps folding out. And then I thought there was a nice bit of animation afterwards of him shoving the whole thing back in his like tracksuit inside.
And I really like his like aughts jerk look of his the gold necklace, the tracksuit. It's the cape honestly would just be it's his normal cape, but that's like just peacocking of 2010.
What does he say about the cape? That's a nice cape you've got. Thank you. I got it from the normal way, from killing my father.
Yes. And I have a clip of Lrrr finding a babe.
Look, bro, you're just not gonna find a lot of hot, gigantic Omicronian babes in this solar system.
There's one.
Hey, cool cape. Where'd you get that?
What, this old thing? I murdered my father. My name's Lrrr, ruler of the planet Omicron Persei 8.
I am called Girl.
Of the planet Omicron Persei 8? That is a pretty name. What's on the TV tonight? Oh, wait, I don't care, because I got a date!
I know it's not what you want to hear, but I think this is a mistake.
Leela's right. That's not what you want to hear. What you want to hear is that I fixed my comic book. Now the hero is more relatable because he has no ridiculous powers.
Let's watch, shall we?
One more step and Little Miss Constructive Criticism here gets it. Oh, yeah? I may be just a simple delivery boy with no superpowers, so there's nothing I can do. Okay.
I do have to say on that clip, I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be a meta joke on this or not, but they literally say about the delivery boy man crying, like all your hero does is cry. Nobody wants to do that. And then for the back half of this, nobody wants to engage with that. And like for the back half of this episode, it's just Lrrr crying.
Yes. Yeah. I guess that's some meta commentary there. In response to being told no one wants to watch a protagonist cry, Fry then starts crying.
Yeah.
But you're right. Lrrr's crying quite a lot in this. I mean, I do all of the notes on comics. I do think this maybe is a little bit of Patrick Verrone complaining about how his wife would give him notes on something, perhaps. But I like that first. It's the old complaint about Superman. This character has no problems and he's too powerful to have any dramatic tension. So then instead it's like, well, this guy's too weak and all he's going to do is cry, which feels like a mocking of like autobiographical comics that are just about losers who don't do anything.
And now it feels like a commentary on how every superhero movie is about a superhero who either quits or loses his powers because it's like, well, they can't just use superpowers all the time.
Oh. Yeah, I know. It's also, and around the same time was when every James Bond movie is about like James Bond quits being James Bond or James Bond learns to be James Bond again. It's like, that's, I hate, but yes, this is around 2 years after this will be when the Man of Steel comes out where it's about like, it's really depressing to be Superman. This sucks.
And we have Katie Sackhoff playing Girl, who made her debut in the first act. She's now a character in the show. And this is unknown to me because I have no idea who this woman is. I'm sure she's very talented. But she played Lieutenant Kara Starbuck Thrace on the good version of Battlestar Galactica, a show I know nothing about. I know people like it a lot. Maybe it had a kind of a rough ending, but I know at the time it was very respected. It ended in 2009. So right after this is when she's guest starring on Futurama. Yes. And then she was on 24 when this aired, a season of 24, but she would mostly stay in the realm of nerd things. So in recent years, she's been in a ton of Star Wars stuff like The Mandalorian, Tales of the Empire, Clone Wars, and Rebels. Sorry, Chris, I know you have some Sackhoff opinions.
No, I'm just remembering who this woman is and knowing that I've now seen her in a few things. I did watch, I think, of at least a few seasons of that Battlestar Galactica.
No, at the time, her being Starbucks, she was a queen of Comic-Con. Like, I remember that being a big deal. And no, I have some minor Sackhoff opinions of just that. Well, also she's has been a podcaster for a few years now, and it's a popular enough geeky podcast where basically she interviews friends who that worked with her on all of these Battlestar, Star Wars, all these kinds of projects about things. Though, yes, most recently she became the star of The Mandalorian because she. Basically, on the show The Clone Wars, David Filoni made up a character for her because he liked her so much. Bo-Katan, who was like the coolest Mandalorian ever. And so then in season 2, Dave Filoni casts her to play the live action version of that character in The Mandalorian. And season 3 of The Mandalorian is about the Mandalorian, who's the main character, saying about Bo-Katan, she's actually way cooler than me and should be the leader of the Mandalorians. And I give her the Darksaber and she's awesome. And you can imagine that some Star Wars fans did not like that.
So that's funny background because I have watched all the seasons of the Mandalorian, and I thought that there was something weird going on here about like why is this show suddenly being about making this other Mandalorian the protagonist of the show? And I guess the background about that actress makes it make slightly more sense, but still.
It's like the Prestige TV version of a backdoor pilot.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, okay, so now this is a different show.
It was so crazy in season 3 that it's like that every episode is just the Mandalorian constantly going like, actually, she should be in charge. I don't really want to do this. I got to go over here now.
With this baby.
Yeah.
Well, we are in Girl's apartment now, and we can see some nerdy things around that might let you know that she is not who we think she is. But they have a good dinner. She decides to get more comfortable, takes off her dress, and then also her skin. And it's revealed that she's essentially the 3010s version of a furry. She calls it a cross-species dresser, but she is dressing up like an Omicronian. We see her dressing up like a Decapodi, and she does not want to be a human. So she's got these alien sonas, I guess you want to call them.
Yeah, I definitely prefer the read on this of it being a joke about furries, which was an easy joke back then, too, instead of, a trans panic or whatever type joke. I prefer that.
I feel like if they had written this like a few years later, they would have gone with some play on furries. But I imagine even at this time, that might have been a little. I imagine a writer's room debate of, do Comedy Central viewers know what a furry is in 2010? I would say the answer today is absolutely yes. You could make that joke, but back then, a little more difficult.
In 2010, maybe furries, but not bronies. But now I think those are known to all parties. And you could tell, like, this is still kind of primitive nerd television because they don't say cosplay.
All of these things
everybody knows what cosplay
definitely
is.
Concepts of that in the intervening years. You could just talk about on at least Comedy Central. Network TV, maybe in a Law and Order where you have Ice-T explaining explicitly what a cosplay is. It's called costume play.
Yeah, the 64-year-olds in the audience need the definition.
Also, that they found their horniest animator that day when they needed the scene of her saying, "Sharpen your horns on my scaly thorax." Like that, her movements there were done with the extra credit care from an animator. Like they went overboard.
A little something for the cable TV horn dogs.
They definitely got her breasting boobily in those shots.
That scene happens, and then we go back to Planet Express. This is when Lrrr is confiding in Leela. I think this is really when the affair begins.
I want to go home, but Ndunda would never take me back now.
Unda just wants what every she-beast wants, to feel like you're listening to her nagging. Is there anything she's been riding your ass about?
Conquering things, I guess. I could conquer Earth, kill all humans.
That's a thought.
No. We don't need a war of the worlds.
That's it. We need a War of the Worlds. I'll call Orson Welles.
Dork calling Orson. Dork calling Orson.
You're asking me, the renowned spokesman for Paul Masson Wine, to recreate my brilliant 1938 radio broadcast merely to deceive and impress the wife of this skinny reptile?
Sorry, never mind.
I'll do it for free. Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt our program of the Jonas Brothers and their orchestra to bring you a special bulletin.
So now it becomes a War of the Worlds parody. I don't think we need to go too far into what this is because there's so many parodies of this that I think this is now known. But yes, a radio prank, but one that it's been exaggerated how many people actually fell for this.
It's almost too smart for Fry to have heard of this, honestly.
Yeah, again, like given the quality of his comic. To be able to be like, yes, I'll recreate that famous radio hoax.
But we just did the critic pilot with Will Miniker, and we talk about how Orson Welles takes over that show too, because Maurice LaMarche does him perfectly. Like he lives to do it. And also, this was the first time I noticed that because they're filed alphabetically, they also plug in two Futurama voice actor cameos in there as well in the Head Museum.
Oh, so I did see there's Frank Welker, right?
And Dawn Wells.
Oh, yeah. Was she in Futurama?
She's LaBarbara, isn't she?
Yeah, LaBarbara is Dawn Wells. You're thinking this is Marianne from Gilligan's Island, right?
You are correct. Sorry, Bob.
I will say, just while we're on voice acting, that's just a nice little show reel clip for LaMarche, going from his, even if I find how weepy Lrrr is a little annoying, I do love him doing the sad monster voice for Lrrr straight into his legendary Wells impersonation. Great stuff.
Yeah. He can still do it now. He did it back then, and he was really dominating the 90s with this impression. The Critic, Pinky and the Brain, other appearances. Ed Wood, he did the dub for Vincent D'Onofrio, something that D'Onofrio was very upset about because apparently he worked really hard in his impression, but Burton was like, get Maurice LaMarche in here. But he would come back to do this voice a bunch on The Simpsons, weirdly enough, because they did a War of the Worlds parody for Treehouse of Horror 17. And then there's 2 more episodes where Maurice comes in to do his Orson Welles impression.
I mean, I'm sure he loves the work, but after nearly 30 years of getting tapped for this, do you think LaMarche is a little bit like, not Wells again? All right, let me Paul Masson.
No, I think he never stops. I think he lives. Even he jokes like he did The Brain as him for forever, and still will do it happily. I apologize to Dawn Lewis for getting you mixed up with Dawn Wells. Many apologies.
One is a white woman, one is a black woman who's 40 years younger.
Yes, apologies, Dawn Lewis.
They spell and pronounce their names differently.
I feel like Fry here with misspelling Earth all of the time.
But yes, we see this War of the Worlds style broadcast with very handmade cheesy effects, and because Fry wrote it, there's a bit of back and forth between Orson Welles and Fry about what he does and doesn't want to say. And this is referencing another famous outtake, the Yes Always outtake, where this is how Maurice LaMarche ended up doing Orson Welles on a bunch of shows, because to warm up, he would just recite that from memory.
Yeah.
Not the Paul Masson Wine outtake. That's a different one, but
Is it for frozen peas?
It's for the peas, yes.
Yes.
He won't say in July.
In July. Yeah.
My wife and I are constantly, almost anytime the concept of wine is brought up, we're always going, there's a Californian wine.
Yes, got it.
Oh, the French.
Oh, the French.
Yep. I also like Orson Welles referring to Lrrr as like small or skinny by his standards. That's just how huge Orson Welles was.
Yes.
So yes, there's a big back and forth as to why he should be describing Lrrr when we can't actually see him yet. But let's hear a little bit more from Welles in our next clip.
The leader of the attack is swaggering out of his ship and up to a convenient nearby microphone. Now, why couldn't I have just described his appearance at this point? This is the type of thing I'm talking about.
People of Earth, I am Lrrr, conqueror of your planet.
Q screams.
You will now remove your skulls and play dodgeball with them for my amusement.
Ooh, I could swear his horns have gotten longer.
Sir, I've intercepted an Earth broadcast.
Put it up on the zenith. Oh, God.
Earth is conquered. The destruction of civilization complete. Now, stay tuned for Little Orphan Annie.
To hell with Little Orphan Annie. We've got to do something.
What's that, honey? How many dead? I don't know, 80 million? Okay, I love you too. That was Ndndifferences. She's taking me back.
Yeah! I'm sorry I've been so difficult.
So he's a little contrite here. Not common for Orson Welles.
I love that they write Zap as the type of rube who fell for the fake broadcast of the War of the Worlds. Like he is the stories go of the legend goes of the guys running out of their houses with towers type guy. That's who Zap is here.
Yeah. And there are other look up other sources on this, but it was exaggerated how many people actually fell for it. And I remember when Radiolab was basically the only podcast, they did an episode about War of the Worlds.
Oh, yes.
And how when they did it in other countries, other DJs would try this. Sometimes they were murdered for doing this. And it worked a lot better there than it did in America.
Yeah.
I also like Zap specifying, is it the Nimbus? That's the name of their ship? That the Nimbus monitors are brought to us by the Zenith Corporation.
They're the one that hung in there. I think we had a Zenith in our spare bedroom and growing up.
I also like that Amy and Hermes had very little to do in this episode, but they got to imitate the Grover's Mall part of the invasion as well.
Yeah. I did like that. I guess Grover's Corner is the name of the town that War of the Worlds takes place in.
Is that also our town?
Oh, it might be.
I just like, I love that Fry's childish. They get a second Fry's childish production. So he basically makes he builds a town out of. He builds a town out of milk cartons as well, just like a 6-year-old would do. So he's still in a very young way of making things.
I think Fry needs a CAT scan at the end of this episode to see what's going on.
Able to conceive of contacting Orson Welles to recreate this millennia-old broadcast legend, but cannot spell Earth correctly.
That's true. It's still ERTH. So we come back to Act 3. Zap Brannigan has surrendered. He's offered up Kip as a sacrifice. Kip's leg is just nonchalantly ripped off. It doesn't seem to bother him that much, but Lrrr, apparently not a fan of Kip.
No, he doesn't taste good. He treats it like a frog leg, and he's trying to wash the taste out of his mouth later. Fortunately, Kip can grow back his legs.
Yes, I do wonder what Kip could taste like, and I guess you're imagining frogs, but he has also specified in previous episodes that his body is supported by a system of fluid-filled tubes.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering about the texture there.
You're not eating around bones. The tubes are just popping in your mouth. It's like a kind of like a Gushers situation.
Oh yeah,
like a savory gusher.
Yeah, savory gusher.
This is one of my favorite things, is to speculate what animated characters feel like. My top one that I've asked on Twitter before is what do we think the Minions would feel like in real life? And the best response that I got was Nerf but warm like human flesh.
Oh, that's good. Oh. Mine is less imaginative. I think it'd just be like a really tough pork chop. Just really tough and dry and dense.
Yeah.
See, I always, it's credit to their tie-in with the Twinkies brand, but I always think they feel like a Twinkie too because they were marketed on Twinkie branding.
Yeah, like a well-done Twinkie.
Yeah.
Next movie, one of them needs to bleed. We got to see if there's cream in there.
I want to know what their bodies are supported by.
Yeah.
Is there like bones inside? I think we've seen an X-ray of a Minion during one of the movies, but I always imagined it was more of a fluid-filled sack situation.
Yeah, first act next movie, it's going to be just a vivisection for 20 minutes. Just screaming as it's being cut open.
Oh, a live one.
Some Blender animator out there who wants to put together a really horrifying show reel should make that.
I think it's already happened, to be honest. But Leela is the bossy friend we all need in our lives because she's convincing Lrrr, tell the truth about the hoax. He's going to launch into his explanation. This is when Ndndifferences shows up in the ship. She's got this slinky dress on. She's sexily rolling her R's now, and she connects with Lrrr in our next clip.
Lrrr, why are you yelling softly with the purple-furred one?
It's nothing, my queen.
He messed up my hair.
I'm missing a leg.
We fought like hell, sir. But in the end, we caved like a house of souffle cards.
Got it. Peace with honor. Well, I resign again.
Come, Nixon. Introduce me to the kitchen staff. I must lay down the law about Lrrre's low-sodium diet.
You've got to tell her the truth. And lay off the salted peanuts.
I'm just trying to get the leg taste out of my mouth.
Lrrre, I'm in here now, not out there.
Give me a little time. With a lady like Ndndifferences, one must use finesse. Coming, gigantums!
So they're kind of still starting off at square one again with the bickering.
No, I mean, I love how even when she's happy with him, she's like, I'm in here now. Why are you out there? And though Tress is so great when she rolls the R's on the like sexily. I can't do it. That's why Tress
that's why I didn't even try.
Yeah. No, she's
there you go.
Thank you. Chris, now you've done a whole podcast on the history of presidents. Did you know this peace with honor reference by Nixon?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay.
That was his proposal for winding down Vietnam, which he had elongated to get elected again.
Well, see, I only know that as a quote because Nixon says it here, and I only know about the delaying of the Paris Peace Accords because Kissinger had a joke about that when he lost his glasses in The Simpsons.
Yes, we should mention Hell of Presidents. I believe that's available on your Patreon.
Oh,
Chris?
yeah. The President's Show is available for individual purchase for, I think, I reduced the price for $5 for the whole series for President's Day, and I never put it back up. So we'll see if I remember to raise it for $10. Or you can just subscribe to Chapo Trap House, and for $5 a month, you get access to everything.
This goes live in 6 weeks, but I'll tell our listeners, act now. Chris is very busy.
I remembered.
Yes. So we see this Omicronian takeover. By the way, when we were still keeping track of COVID variants, one of them was Omicron, and I thought, oh, that's going to ruin Lrrre. But we all forgot about Omicron, so it doesn't matter anymore.
That was 8 variants ago, and we stopped counting. And COVID's not a thing anymore. You don't have to.
That's good
anymore.
I'm sick of all these names.
Yeah.
But we see a lot of Omicronian takeover footage here. Some of the highlights, I do like how Ndndifferences now gets to use J.J. Abrams' face as a set of opera glasses.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice little use of that prop.
Great gag.
And also, I did want to note that we see this underground mining operation that's happening under the White House. They're putting jewels on a conveyor belt. One of the characters is the single Australian man from Spa 5.
Yes.
I missed that. Oh, that's so great. Oh, bloody Chunda.
One of my favorite episodes. Anything Hermes related is great. But yeah, the single Australian man who runs the entire mining operation, I definitely clocked him as well, and was glad to see he made an experience, even if he didn't get.
Yeah, we didn't get a line. It really does show you what a nightmare person Hermes is. That's how he got his groove back, by finding out how to make one operation run by just a single slave.
Yes.
See, I was just so distracted by all of these jewels because we covered Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs recently on the podcast, and so just all of these jewels are drawn to look like they reminded me of the mining done in that movie, and they did look delicious when Ndndifferences took a bite out of one.
Yeah, she bites it like an apple, and she's like, oh, that's crisp. And this is when Lrrre sees Leela outside, starts to feel some pangs of guilt because, Leela's a friend at this point. She's been in his mouth for 5 minutes, so that means something. And this is when he confesses in our next clip.
Ndndifferences, there's something I've got to tell you.
What is it? Is there someone else?
What? No. It's about this takeover of Earth. It's...
The spark that reignited our marriage?
Yes, exactly. Good night.
Oh, Lord. Now what?
I couldn't tell her the truth.
Look, you scaly crybaby. You do what I say, and you do it now.
I knew it!
Frying pans! Cast iron frying pans!
It's not what it looks like. What do I do?
Do what I say. Tell her!
Tell me what? Give me the heavy one.
The invasion was all a fake. I just wanted to impress you.
You lied? What else have you been hiding from me?
This is when Leela buys her own frying pan from Bender.
And she holds it up defensively. It's good, like, defensive frying pan positioning there.
It's a shield and a blunt instrument for swinging around.
No, I mean, it is very much the Futurama sexual politics that, like, as Leela put it earlier, all she beast cares about is if you listen to their nagging. Like, that, just prove that. But I mean, Lrrr versus Leela, Ndndifferences versus Leela is a fun combo.
Yeah, they've got the similar levels of aggression.
Yes,
and they won't take any nonsense from anybody.
I also want to point out that just in how much they try to squeeze out of the frying pan jokes, that during the takeover montage, the Planet Express crew is shown updating the Statue of Liberty to be also holding frying pans,
like up in the air like the torch.
Yeah, exactly. So I think no less than 4 different frying pan jokes in this.
They don't go to the Statue of Liberty a lot in the series, which is weird because they're in New York. But when I paused the intro just to write something down, and I noticed in the intro baked in, it's the Statue of Liberty. She's always holding a ray gun in the air, which is something that I don't think I ever noticed. Yeah.
No, me neither, man. I also love I love any description of the we talked about Kif's bladders. I loved hearing Ndndifferences describe like that her part of arousal is that her organs are shifting into place.
Yes.
Like that in their biology, you need to shift your organs into different positions as part of preparing for intercourse.
It's weird. I mean, they could have gotten a lot dirtier, and I think the Comedy Central wanted them to, but they're still like sensitive nerds who are afraid of sex writing this show.
Well, and hey, credit to Lrrr. He did not have sex with her under false pretenses. He stops the interaction when he realizes he's having to lie.
That is true. Although I like how much of a little weasel Lrrr is being, because when he's with Girl, he's like, I'm partway out of a relationship. And then when Girl shows up in this scene, he's like, I barely made it with her. So he's kind of like halfway cheating with her.
Mm-hmm. I guess, I mean, he did leave before they actually made it.
Yeah. But yeah, Girl appears in the costume saying, "Oh, I'm willing to fight for you, Lrrr." Bender is like trying to find some weapon for her, but all he has is a pie pan and a colander. And this is when Lrrr explains, we had one date, we barely made it. And Ndndifferences says, okay, I have no resentment against her, whatever. And then she blasts her out of existence. Seemingly, the big twist is coming soon.
Yeah, I didn't catch this. Like it on first viewing, Girl comes in with the laser or with the teleporter, and that she, you just read it as a laser, and that's why Ndndifferences takes it from her and keeps it to use later in it and puts it into position. There's no reason an Omicronian would actually have this thing sold on Earth, so it all makes plot sense. I give him credit.
Yes. Only a tiny bit sweaty to get to the conclusion of this episode.
Even though Girl has been disintegrated, seemingly, Leela is now viewed as a potential mistress and wants to know about her. And I love the response, her? She's just a bossy friend.
Yes. It shows that, that's so great that, and it shows what's really important to her. The intimacy she cares about isn't sex, though she did murder a woman for having sex with Lrrr. But then what really pisses her off is that somebody else is now is above her in the bossing around order.
And because of that, they now have to do the ritual of Firmer. I think that's Firmer or consequences. I wrote it down, but I don't know how to say it unless I hear it in the clip.
And it's great that Fry says it all perfectly except for consequences.
Yes. Yeah. He wants to know what the hell it is. We find out what it is. Apparently, this was going to take place in a very busy sports stadium, but the animators talked them down from this. So now it's taking place in a very clever joke, White Plains, New York, except it's like the geometrical kind of plains. That's why there's these like flat white squares floating through the environment, and they're actually standing on them too.
No, I like they were able. I mean, they just had to do an entire Comic-Con full of people, so I can see why they're like, can Act 3? Oh, and then also the enslaving of Earth, full of huge crowds of people. If you're going to enslave a planet, you're going to have to draw huge crowds. So I'm happy for the animators who got to just draw some white planes. We're in the sky.
Yes.
It's just white planes floating around.
Okay, instead of a crowded sports stadium, may I suggest an empty void?
Yeah, let's go for it. We see the entire cast. Lrrr, Leela, and Ndndifferences are each on their own white plane. The rest of the crew is standing on a shared plane, kind of like the bleachers, I guess. And then Ndndifferences goes over the rules in our next clip.
The rules are the same as in the home version. Lrrr must simply choose between myself and Leela.
Fine. Hurry up.
By shooting the one he rejects.
Whoa! Lrrr, I'm getting angry. Don't you go through with this.
She is not the boss of you. I am the boss of you.
Leela's gonna die. What would Delivery Boy Man do?
I do not want to shoot anybody.
You never want to do anything.
Oh, nag, nag, nag.
You want me to stop nagging? Then shoot me.
Oh, you'd like that, wouldn't you?
Beat staring at your fat ass on the couch.
Oh, yeah? I'll show you.
Ray blocking power.
Oh.
Fry. Oh!
Fry seemingly took a ray gun beam for Leela, and I like how this very formal ceremony just amounts to shoot one of us.
Yes. Choose what you're going to do by shooting one person. This is, this whole season has been about Fry proving his worth and love for Leela, and this is just like, this has to be the fourth time in the show Fry has, in Fry's mind, sacrificed his life for Leela's.
Yeah. That's why I like how in the new episodes on Hulu, they're just a couple and the stories are about couple stuff. It's not just they kind of forgot that they're together and Fry is still yearning for her in these seasons.
Yeah, they finally in Hularama move in together.
I have not kept up with that. Maybe there's some potential. There's some potential quality there. I don't know.
They are getting new stories out of it at least, but there is one little deleted scene after the shooting of Fry here.
Lrrr, you were willing to shoot that bossy temptress. You really do value my nagging above all others.
Let's go home and regrout the old tub, if you know what I mean.
You mean regrout the old tub?
Yes.
Good line.
I wish they kept that. It's like 7 seconds. Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah, I think like this whole little thing. Again, at this point, I'm finding the real lean into the frying pan of it all, the gender politics, pretty grating here. But I do think it gets redeemed by also roping in the comic stuff and the teleporter gun thing. It kind of finds a way to tie everything up in a way that is at least has some of that Futurama satisfyingness to it.
I will say that in their new run, they did actually hire women. For the second run, they never bothered hiring a woman. There's 2 freelance scripts by 2 different women. Actually, one of them could be another writer writing as a woman as a pseudonym. We're not sure. But it's part of like trotting out this regressive humor in a future show is like the high concept thing, but you're still kind of doing regressive humor at the same time.
I mean, there's definitely ways to play into like the honeymooner dynamic still.
Oh yeah, and the one woman who wrote this season one of the women who wrote this season as a freelancer is Patrick Verone's partner, like romantic partner, right? Yeah.
And one of them is possibly another writer as a pseudonym that has not been confirmed.
Are you guys taking it as the journalistic mandate of your show to dox every writer on Futurama?
Yes. It's just they're like the Department of Doge for us. We have to know where they sleep at night.
If we can get them censured by the WGA, then we'll have succeeded. But
we can get to the ending here. So Lrrr and Ndndifferences, they're back together. Leela seemingly is, standing in front of the place where Fry was disintegrated. She says, "Good night, dumb prince." Girl is there. She wants to have Lrrr's poplars, but then she immediately falls in love with Zoidberg, who agrees to marry her on the spot. So at least he gets a happy ending here. I don't think we follow up on this later in the show, though.
I hope Zoidberg at least got like one night of passion with girl here for his troubles.
And we do get the resolution here, which is something that I guessed immediately in this third act, that the gun in play was not the gun that kills you. It's the gun that moves you across the room or moves you to a different location. And Patrick Verone on the commentary says half the people are going to get it. Half the people are going to be like, I didn't see that coming. I'm now in the half that did get it. But I rarely get these big twists in fiction.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't see it coming. I'll say on the other half, I sometimes saw stuff coming. I don't want to overestimate like, oh, yeah, we all saw that coming, right? When I didn't. But in this one, no, I did not connect that they were setting up the gun to be used later. Though, I mean, certainly on first watch, I did not think Fry is dead.
Yes,
like,
right,
I didn't think that.
I just wondered, it's like, well, how are we going to get out of this one? And then I realized, oh, right, they set that up in minute 3 and never commented on it since then.
I did love Fry screaming Ray blocking powers when that's like his superhero chant as he jumps into the way.
So yes, we go to our final clip now where we're back at Planet Express. Fry is there alive and well.
Fry?
Is this him?
Yeah!
Fry, you're alive.
Not only that, I now know exactly how to end my comic book. Let's watch. Say goodbye to your forehead, because I'm going to shoot you in it. Not if I leap in front of your death ray, and I am going to do that. Jumping sound. Oh, I didn't shoot yet. As usual, your delivery arrived too soon. Ah! Oh, delivery boy man, you saved me by random chance. Don't thank random chance. Thank my meteor wishing power with your lips.
Good ending. Not great.
There's some good stuff there. I like how they're kind of defending their own writing choices by saying we can just end something by random chance, but then we can excuse it by saying it was actually a plot element all along.
Yes. Yeah. It's like, it's a great joke about bad writing of it ending, and that, it seems like it just, a deus ex machina would be the term. And then their cover is like, actually, no, he had secret meteorite wishing powers. So it's not really just a pulled out of our ass thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is it also kind of like the inverse of the thing where you say you shouldn't remind people of better media properties in your media property? There's maybe an inverse of like, you shouldn't remind people what bad writing looks like in your whatever TV show. If you're maybe sweating if you just halved your writing staff.
Yeah. I'm more a fan of the first rule, Chris, because when people can get away with it, it's astounding. Like I just watched the movie 12 Monkeys again. And within that movie, a movie I really like, there's about a minute of Vertigo, the Hitchcock film Vertigo. And I just thought, like, I can't believe you're getting away with this. I'm not thinking I'd rather watch Vertigo because I really like 12 Monkeys.
Yeah. Are they watching it in the insane asylum?
They're watching it. It's like a theater they go to later when they're on the run.
Yes. I also just like the toss away joke of Bender going, is this him? 7 seasons in.
Yeah.
Bender's callousness of barely even recognizing his best friend and roommate.
When Bender has nothing to do, they give him a lot of good lines just to jam into a scene.
Yeah.
And, I really like this is something else I liked about the finale, that they set up really great bookending because of the start of the episode. Fry writes the story where the Leela character, who I learned from, there's a hidden thing on the DVD you can find hidden on it the production design for all of the bad, ugly characters drawn by the great artist. That's how I learned Leela's character in the book. His name is Leas Lane. So as in a poor Lois Lane thing. But nice. In the first one, Fry makes a happy ending and Leas kisses him. And he has to kiss his own hand to make the kissing sound. And here you get the same kissing sound effect, except Leela is kissing him in real life just like her character is doing in the comics. So that's sweet.
And Fry will only need to sacrifice himself 5 more times before they're together. Final thoughts on this so we can wrap up here. I think it, like you said, Chris, it's a bit mid, but there's some stuff I love. I love the Learn and stuff. And I'm totally in the pocket for Maurice LaMarche doing his Orson Welles. As long as he does that at least 10 more times in his lifetime and my lifetime, I'll be happy. So it's always fun to see them working his famous impression into other media. So I'm walking away from this happy, and I'm also happy that Chris reached out to us to be on an episode.
Yes. Well, thank you. I mean, yeah, that's the other. When you pitched that you were on this one, I had remembered watching it because the stupid but funny name of the episode always stuck with me, and I did always like these two characters. And I also, I remembered it, and I see it before. I mean, I was pretty dismissive of Up Top, Deeply Mid, but it's fine for this run. I do remember watching the Comedy Central Futurama come back as it was on, and just kind of like episode to episode getting a little more of like a sinking pit in my stomach. I mean, I don't want to be too dismissive of it, but I think that this one is fine, pretty good probably for the reboot. But I'm only being so harsh because I do hold those first 5 seasons of Futurama in such high regard, both personally and like I think objectively. I think that, as I said earlier, the best stuff in there is among the best of TV animation ever.
Oh yeah, we are huge fans of that era too. Yeah. And Henry, any final thoughts on this one?
Yeah, no, I mean, I concur with you guys on this. I like that this was, I'd say, at the average or above the average of this season on Comedy Central. I always love seeing Learn and but I mean, it is so fan servicey that it can be distracting if you're not on board for it. Yeah. But I mean, as an attendee of Comic-Con at the time they are writing these jokes about Comic-Con, it was speaking to me, and now I hate to be nostalgic for that time of Comic-Con, but it's true, that's not modern Comic-Con anymore. So I love, and anytime Sergio Aragonés gets to be on television and remind people how awesome he is, I celebrate that.
Absolutely. Well, everybody knows where to find us and how to get this content because this is a Patreon exclusive content, baby.
Can I know I told you I had a hard out at 1, but just I can go a little longer. What are your guys' favorite episodes of Futurama?
Oh, okay. I was actually thinking about this last night, which is very weird. I don't know why I was thinking about this, but I will say I'm pretty sure in terms of pure jokes, it's Insane in the Mainframe. And I think in terms of pure emotionality and clever storytelling, it's probably The Sting.
Yes.
Man, that's we had just done the late Philip J. Fry, so I really do love that one a lot. But that is of that era. Now I look back at it, I have to remind myself. I really the episode's name. God, no, okay. It is the Super Friends parody one. That them becoming the God, where is that?
Less Than Hero. Yeah.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you. That one is, I think, my favorite because I love it. Captures the archness of those old cartoon superhero stuff, and it is beautifully animated by a team headed up by Susie Dieter. I think did a great job. But it's like wall to wall ridiculous jokes too.
I will go. Oh God, there's so many I love, but I think in terms of pure jokes per minute, the Lost City of Atlanta one is one of my favorites. And then in terms of clever storytelling and structure, I like the Time Keeps on Slipping one a lot.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Chris. If Insane in the Mainframe wasn't so full of the darkest jokes of the entire series, I probably would opt for the Atlanta one for just sheer amount of great jokes.
Yes. I also, one of my favorite just like TV inciting incidents of all time of Nibbler's pet license arrived. Wait, this isn't a pet license, it's a fishing license. And it's mandatory. Cut to the ocean.
Yes, that's a great setup of just a series of hilarious jokes, and we learn about what's really going on with mermaids. It's not the fantasy we all imagined.
Yes. Why couldn't she be the other kind of mermaid with the fish part on top and the lady part on bottom?
One more I want to shout out to is, or one of my favorites is Godfellas. I really love that one a lot.
Yeah.
Chris, thank you for being on the show. Please let everybody know where they can find you online and what you're working on. Of course, there's Chapo Trap House. There's your podcast and introducing. What else is going on?
Let's see. I think that just keeping the pods rolling these days is about all I'm working on. There is some other stuff that we're working on in the background that I hope I get to announce sometime this year. But for the meantime, Chapo Trap House is the main show, and Introducing is their show about music. My wife and I also do a third podcast where we she basically reads big challenging books of quote unquote important men of the 90s to me. So we've read this is called Infinite Cast. We started reading the entirety of Infinite Jest. We moved on to Inherent Vice, and now we are on to Don DeLillo's underworld. In every ep, she just reads like 20 minutes of the book, and then we discuss it. At Say What Again on Twitter. Am I the Chris Wade on Blue Sky? At Chris Wade on Blue Sky.
Oh, and speaking of books, congratulations on the release of Matt Christman's Spanish Civil War.
Yes, thank you.
We can cut this. Is there going to be any more printings of this? People seem to be really wanting more of it.
We will do something else with the book sometime. But
excellent.
I still have more books to ship out as of February 26th. I need to get Matt to sign 250 more books and get those. I'm not even done getting this book out. So once that's out, we'll sit on it for a while, and then we'll maybe do something else. I also kind of have a dream of like maybe making an audiobook and maybe getting like a real celebrity to do the audiobook for it. We'll see. And then I also have other book projects for more Matt books that are already starting to cook. So we'll see what we can
kick ass.
do.
Kick ass.
Ooh, that's awesome, man! What a tease. Well, I'm looking forward to that, and all the great. Yeah, you really have in the last few years, especially. You guys have been killing it with the Patreon exclusive stuff on for Chapo Trap House. In addition to all of the twice a week great stuff you guys do there.
$5 gets you a lot of stuff on the Chapo Trap House Patreon. You get both me and Matt's history series. You get 3 now seasons of Will's movie miniseries. We now have Felix's series about kind of the history of the last 50 years of conservative media, all plus the regular episodes, of which we have 500 or something on there. That's all that for $5 a month.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Chris, for being on the show, and thanks everybody for being patrons. And we'll see you again next time for The Mutants Are Revolting, and we'll see you then.
Of course I'll marry you.